My friend, hi, and welcome back to my channel. My name is CaitlinAnwyn for anyone who's new here, and let's get back into building in Planet Zoo. And today we are continuing in the Balayong Zoo for our Southeast Asian Animal Pack. And I needed to do a bit of zoo detailing today, so it's going to be a mix of lots of different things, which is a bit of fun. So to start with, I needed staff buildings, and I've got to be honest, I did not want to spend the time individually building each staff building because I didn't think it would be that much fun. They're all squares really, so it's not really all that much to do. So what I did instead was recoloring them all so they match in with my pink and white zoo, basically, because this zoo is going to be themed around cherry blossom trees, specifically the cherry blossom trees found in the Philippines called the Balayong trees. So I want to keep everything pink and white to match in with all of that. Luckily this is the sandbox zoo, so it doesn't really bother me all that much that staff members have to like run a fair distance to my first habitat, which I built last time, the Malayan tapirs. So they got to run a fair way to get from these buildings to the Malayan tapir building, but I'm planning on building the sun bear habitat close to these ones, so it's a little bit of give and take really. And seeing these pre-built blueprints for the staff buildings gave me a few extra ideas for the shopping courtyard as well, because I wasn't quite finished with that. I just ran out of time. And then I discovered that I can go into the signs and change the colour of the signs and change the colour of the doors and windows on each of the staff buildings. So the staff buildings each have a different colour theme, and I guess that's supposed to help like you pick which building is which, but I didn't realise I could actually change the colours themselves too. Instead of them being all themed individually, I can theme them for my cherry blossom zoo. And like I mentioned in the last video, I do want to theme the world or the map with the cherry blossom trees, but I don't want every habitat to be cherry blossom themed. I just want the park or the zoo itself to be cherry blossom themed. So I added some trees in the little gaps between the buildings, or the gaps between the paths and the buildings, and then I wanted to add some extra little details, but I've been trying to make my zoos a little bit more like proper zoos instead of wacky Planet Zoo style. So I wanted to add like plants and stuff and flowers next to the pathways. I actually had to go on GeoGuessr and looked around some zoos on GeoGuessr in the UK, and I found that they do line pathways and stuff with plants and greenery around where guests walk, so it's not just a path and a habitat. So that's what I was trying to do here. I started with the staff buildings, of course, but I wanted to fill in some gaps and add some extra little details with some plants. I picked these pink flowers, and I think these are actually supposed to be things to line pathways and like extra little details, because I've seen that these were used in a blueprint for a waterfall, and I thought not a waterfall, a fountain. I got waterfall on my mind from my last zoo build, which will be in the iCards up there somewhere. Yeah, so I really like the look of these flowers. The align to surface wasn't working properly. I think it's because they were so long. It was only aligning to like one part of the surface, not the whole surface. I had to go back and add in some shorter plants as well, because the flowers weren't aligning properly, and the short ones actually work better. I have to place in more, but they worked a lot better than the long ones, so I gave up and used them in the end. Now on to building something to cover the transformers. I was very inspired by the rest of the staff buildings, so I wanted to add in something that was very similar to those. Why don't those roof trims snap like the rest of roof? So frustrating. But yeah, I was inspired by how the staff building blueprints were built, so I wanted to build my own little shell for the transformer, make it look like it's a part of this zoo instead of just that ugly machine box thing. And it will also reduce the negative impact for guests. I had no problems with negative impact for guests in my last park because the guests were all under shelter or underground, under the water. They didn't really have to bother with negative impact, but now I have to actually worry about those things, so I wanted to add in a little building for the transformers. I am planning on changing these to renewable energy, but for now we'll put them in here. I think the wind one will still work with a cover on it, but the solar panel won't. That's a fun little thing, isn't it? If you cover the solar panel, it doesn't give power. I did it in my last zoo. I was building the lighthouse and I needed power for the lighthouse lights. And I put a solar panel in there. I cut it out because I was like, oh, of course it wouldn't work. Because I put it in the building. So yeah, that little bit of realism there, isn't it? I haven't really done a lot of Asian style builds, so it was nice to dip my toe in the water, I guess. Yeah, that's the right saying, right? I always get saying slightly off. Like, I was watching The Circle. I don't know whether you've seen it. It's on Netflix, the American one. And there's a new season at the moment on Channel 4 in the UK. And one of the contestants in The Circle was being very friendly with lots of people. So I was like, oh yeah, she's got her hand in lots of pots. And what I meant to say was she's got her finger in lots of pies. So like, I was just about there with the saying, but not quite. So I hope I'm saying that generally right, but I love The Circle. If you haven't seen it, I definitely recommend. If you got Netflix, watch the USA one, or if you're from the UK, check it out on Channel 4. I've really enjoyed it. These people go into a block of flats and can only communicate with each other over messaging. So it's kind of like online chat, and they never get to meet each other unless they are kicked out of the competition. That's when they get to see who the people really are. And you can go in as yourself, or you can go in as like a catfish and be a different kind of character. And the whole point of the program is to make as many friends as you can and be voted the most popular, so then you can be an influencer and then block other people until right at the end. Then everyone will vote who their favourite person is, and then who their favourite person is will win the whole game, and you win like a big amount of money. I can't remember how much it was, but the whole point of it is making friends with people through chat, like messaging, and the only thing the other person's got on you is your profile picture. It's interesting. I think it's a play on online dating, but it's made it into a competition. I've really enjoyed it, as you can probably tell. So now I'm putting some extra little details into my shopping courtyard, entrance courtyard, cherry blossom courtyard. I don't really know what to really call this. If you want to see me build this whole thing, I do have a video. I will put it up in the iCards. And I wasn't really happy with how I finished it off, so I've added these little roof pieces, like extra little triangular roof pieces in the corners, and on some edges, I don't know, just some extra little details onto the roof because I wasn't really happy with the roof. It's kind of an odd shape, so the roofing was like the most difficult thing to do. So I wanted to add in some extra little details to kind of draw your eye away from some of the weird glitchiness. And I like these little curvy pointy pieces on the staff building, so I wanted to add them onto the tips of the little triangular pieces I'd made. I added in some lanterns as well on the exterior to brighten up some of the pathways, because the pathways go all the way around the shopping courtyard as well. So I've got little pink and white lanterns in between the archways anyway to brighten it up a little bit, because inside the courtyard all of the shop signs and stuff light up, so we didn't need as much lighting on the inside. And then I wanted to fill in the gaps in between the pathways and the building on the outside edges, because the flooring kind of went a little odd through the terrain. You can see like there's little triangular shapes on some of the edges between the courtyard and the terrain and the path. So I did some more detailing, grabbed some purple flowers to go in with my favorite colors again. This is just all about what I enjoy. Why not? Talk about this in my last episode. Do things that bring you joy. Why not? Real zoos wouldn't leave just weird gaps in between things. They'll just add some greenery, and that'll promote like bee life and stuff. I know there's a conservation board about bees, so why not add some like lavender for lavender honey. I think it looks really nice, like got it all curvy around some of the like wider gaps, and used 2 different types of flowers to just fill in those gaps nicely. I really like adding in these little details, and if I do it bit by bit like this instead of doing it all in one go like I did for the aquatic build, I think I'll get less bored. It's nice going in between habitats and building themed habitats, and then going back in and theming my area around the habitats, instead of just doing the habitats and then having loads and loads of work to do around the areas. I really love these pattern pieces that were on the staff buildings, but I didn't want to exactly copy what the staff buildings were doing, so instead I grabbed a lot of different pieces and I tried to like put them together to make a pattern of my own. It's got no significance whatsoever. I just wanted to make like a block pattern that I could replicate along all of the walls. So I grabbed a few different pieces to make myself like a little pattern square to fit on that brick area at the top, just underneath the roof, just to give it a little bit more detail. And it really ties in the lamps or like little lights that I'd put in too. The only problem is it wouldn't align to surface, so on a straight wall, like once I'd already placed it on this wall it was fine, but once I'd gone along and going on all of the different angles of this weird building, it was a little trickier. I think it's because those corner pieces are not actually supposed to be flat on a wall like that. I think they're supposed to be like roof support. Some bits wouldn't exactly fit in some areas either. There's lots of frustration. I regret doing this really oddly shaped building. I really do. Can you tell? I am having lots of regrets about this. I don't think it would fit anywhere else other than on this map, because I've fit it to follow the angles of the map itself instead of building whatever shape I want to. I fit it in with this map, and yeah, it's frustrating trying to get all of those different angles, but now I've added these little details in, I'm a lot happier. Like I said, I've still got some things to do to add in extra details and make it more of a realistic shopping courtyard for a zoo, but I think these patterns really set it off nicely. And I did realise after I had finished off the shopping courtyard build video when I was taking some like pretties, as I call it, like the nice shots without all of the UI on it and everything, for the outros. I call it my pretties. And I realised I didn't put any toilets in. Oh, useless. I was like, no. So after I'd built all of that last week, I had to go back in and add some toilets in. I didn't bother filming that bit because you'd seen me add in the shops, and the toilets were exactly the same as the shops, really. I just used some archways to fill in the like middle part instead of using the shop window walls or frames. I am putting a few extra little details into some areas of the inside of the courtyard as well to tie in with the outside, but the majority of this is covered with shop signs for the different food and drink shops. So I didn't want to add in too many little details. It's just some of the more plain areas, like this part here. I do have some Asian style artwork, like there's some cherry blossoms on that one, and there's some fans on the other side, but I did want to add in some extra little details like these just to tie in the outside with the inside. And you're gonna be so proud of me. I remembered bins and benches. Like I said, I did not want to be going back in after everything and having to add in all of these different items. I knew my guests would start being annoying almost immediately, especially with the food and drink nearby. I needed to have bins and benches dotted around this area, specifically because guests are terrible for making a mess. And my park is, or my zoo is actually shut at the moment. I didn't open it straight away. I didn't see the point if there wasn't any animals in the zoo. And because this is a sandbox, I don't have to worry about money. So I'm going to keep it shut for now. But yeah, that is pretty much all of my zoo detailing for today. I've filled in some more gaps. I've added in some extra details into the shopping courtyard, and now my staff buildings are all themed for my cherry blossom zoo, which brings me joy. I love it. And yeah, that's pretty much it for today. Let me know what animal you would like me to build a habitat for next. And if you enjoyed this little zoo detailing architecture build video, smash that like button. And if you haven't already and you would like to, it would mean a lot to me if you could subscribe and hit the bell to be notified whenever I upload a new video. I upload on Wednesdays and Saturdays. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I will see you next time. Goodbye!